Welcome to Cosplayland. I am Alice and today I'm going back to a project that I started a few years ago, and it was one of the things why I started cosplay because I am going to be making one of my favorite characters ever, which is Chi from Chobits. The idea is that I had this artbook that I've had for many years and I love her so much that I decided I wanted to make all the cosplays in that artbook. It took me years to finally make her first cosplay because I was so afraid of not doing her justice because I really love the character. I've gone through this artbook so many times, like honestly I have even marked like my favorite dresses, and yeah, there's like over 80 costumes in here. And last time I went to this project I managed to make a grand total of 2. But this one doesn't even count because it's the one from the anime and it's not even in the artbook, so I have made 1 cosplay. Now, the plan is that I want to start making more cosplays from this character because I really love it, and I know maybe it's a little bit old-fashioned and there will be a lot of people that don't even know the character and won't even be interested, and that's why I decided to just like create a bunch of cosplays, and I am going to be making them in 1 week. Now there's a catch, I don't really have that 1 week to make these cosplays, so every time I catch up with my cosplays, I decided to just like try to squeeze in one of these cosplays and just put all of them together so I can wear them at the same time and save some time. And I have given myself 7 days, it hasn't been like a full week, it's been like 1 day in June, 1 day in July, 1 day in August. You get the idea. And after those 7 days, these are all the cosplays I've managed to make. For the first dress, I decided to use a bunch of scrap fabric that my unofficial mother-in-law gave to me. This is a beautiful shiny satin which I think will work very well for this project. I also got a lot of satin ribbon and several meters of this blue trim that I found on AliExpress. Positioning the piece to make the most of my scraps turned out to be a bit challenging, but after a bit of moving the pieces around, I managed to position all of the pieces in the right place. By the way, if you want to use my exact same patterns and save some time figuring them out, I will leave a link in the description where you can download them. Once I cut all the pieces, it was time to assemble the dress. I started with the front seams, and as always, I recommend you to start by pinning the notches. Pin outwards and sew the front pieces this way. Next stop was the back, and I first sewed the center back. This dress is a bit different because it is open at the back, and before I can attach the sides, I needed to create a channel to insert an elastic band. I ironed the piece first and I sewed the edge. And to make sure my fabric does not fray, I used pinking shears that will save me some time instead of having to use the serger or doing other methods. With the help of a safety pin, I inserted the elastic band at the back. And here's a quick tip. Get a safety pin on both sides of the elastic so it doesn't slide out. I secured the elastic with a few stitches and it was time to attach the sides. I added a notch where the skirt starts to make it easier to sew it in place, and I simply sew these pieces together. Once the back is sewn, I simply have to sew the sides of the dress. For the ribbon tabs, I used satin cord. It was a bit challenging to sew them in place because they are very small and this is a very weak material, but I really liked how it looked, so I decided to keep it. Here is where I was supposed to be inserting some lining, but I somehow cut it too short and it didn't work. It probably has to do with the type of fabric I'm using because satin is very slippery and cotton isn't, so it was never gonna work in the first place. But you learn and you keep trying. As there isn't any lining anymore, it is finally time to attach my lace trim. I simply sewed it right sides together, kind of ignoring the pointy edge to make it easier to turn. I sewed a very long ribbon to each side. And I also added trim to the bottom of the dress. As I was trying to make this dress super quick, I decided to hand sew the edges. Okay, maybe it's the other way around in which you top stitch it instead of going hand sewn, but I like hand sewn pieces and look at how pretty it looks like this. I regret nothing. The edge with the loops is reinforced with a piece of bias tape. You want to make sure this part is strong as it is literally holding your dress on your body. I mean it, if they come off, there is no front, so make sure you reinforce it. And with the dress complete, it was time to move on to the bow. I wanted my bow to be super dramatic, so I created this spiral pattern for them. After a few adjustments and a lot of trial and error, I got the shape that I wanted, and I sandwiched more trim to one of the sides of the tail. Once you turn them inside out, the trim remains on the outside and it looks super cool. The bow itself has this rhomboid shape. I sewed two pieces of fabric together and turned them inside out. But of course, depending on which fabric you use, your fabric may be too heavy and the bow will not keep the shape correctly. Introducing heavy tulle! No, literally, like I cut two pieces of tulle and introduced it inside the bow. This makes the bow a bit more steady, but it still stays lightweight. I could now gather the pieces in the center and cover the edges with a little bit of extra fabric. My bow was looking good, but it wasn't stiff enough, so I got some feather-light boning from my stash and I inserted it on the top edges. This stuff is strong enough to keep the bow up, but also very lightweight and easy to sew. Just a few stitches and it will remain in place. Let's move on to the next dress. For dress number 2, I'm going to be using cotton. Sorry, I forgot to mention, I'm playing in hard mode in which my cats help, but they don't really help, so I had to iron my fabric. You know, just the typical thing. If you have cats, you know what happens. Same as before, I pinned the pieces in place. I cut them. I sew the back. I join the back with the front. And I folded the edges inwards. This part is a bit tricky because the edge is curved, but if you use an iron to help you out, you can get great results. I pinned and sewed the edges. And after a final touch with the iron, it was done. As I was in a hurry, I decided to experiment with a technique I've never tried before, using a pin-tuck foot with a double needle. Yeah, I don't know why I keep doing this to myself, but I do it all the time. Anyway, I marked all my details. I sew them with my sewing foot. And I failed miserably. Yeah, I didn't see that coming. After I practiced a lot, I eventually managed to get straight lines on my pin tucks. And I also learned it is much better to make the pin tucks before you finish the rest of the garment. Who knew? No worries, I kind of fixed it and it looks good. As I couldn't find a trim close enough to my reference, and I don't own an embroidery machine, I customized my own trim. It took about like 3 or 4 hours of my day. Right sides together, I sew it to the edges. And this time I top stitched it, doing something clever for once. The straps are just a folded rectangle. And yes, I know I'm skipping some little steps here and there, but don't worry, my patterns come with full instructions, so if I miss something, it will be over there. Last part for this outfit is the shorts, and they are actually quite easy to make. You simply sew the crotch and the side of each leg. Then you turn one of your legs and place it inside the other leg so you can sew the middle. I know it's confusing, but it makes sense if you look at it. Pin the center and sew the U-shaped section that makes the front and the back. And once again, I am making a channel to introduce elastic. Roll it twice and iron it, before you sew it with your sewing machine. It should be easier to insert the trim now. You already know how to do it. To finish it off, test the length of your elastic band around your waist and insert it in your shorts. And with this, you are done. But there are still a few more dresses to make. There is still a lot of cosplays to make. I don't think I will ever be able to just do all the cosplays from this art book ever, but we will keep trying. So it is time to just figure out if we can make something very quickly, very easily, and see how many more cosplays we can make with other things that we have around the house. Because remember, you don't have to make all your cosplays from scratch. You can actually thrift and change and just like adapt your cosplay so they look good and you can just wear them. So let's do that next. With the difficult dresses done, let's see which other things we can repurpose. A white t-shirt. Very handy, very on brand. This white dress I made for a different glam character definitely could be useful. A white beach dress, not convinced, maybe. A white bra and bloomers, definitely useful, I'm gonna be using this. My old Love is War uniform, that could work too. A white petticoat, perhaps, not bad to have around. But before I start sewing, let me tell you about this week's sponsor, which is of course Moco Queen. Moco Queen has contact lenses of all types for all your cosplays, and they ship super quick in the US and very reasonably fast to Europe as well. I have been using them for years and I absolutely love the quality of their lenses. They have contact lenses in every color of the rainbow. And yes, they have brown contact lenses too. And if you are wondering, yes, I already have brown eyes, but I like wearing contacts to create a more cartoony, big eye effect like those in anime. I actually think they look better in photos. Thank you so much Moco Queen for sponsoring this video. I will leave you a link in the description if you're interested, and you can just follow it to get the perfect lenses for your next cosplay. And remember, you can use the code alicecos for a 10% off. Now, let's go back to crafting. For this next cosplay, I am going to be needing the bloomers that I made for my Shizuku cosplay and a white bra, some pink ribbon and some trim to add some details to it. Unfortunately, I did not have any pink trim, so I am going to make it myself. I simply use alcohol markers to tint the trim pink, and yes, you can wash your cosplays later if you are using alcohol markers. Everybody always asks me these same questions. I mean, I don't know, try it? A few pieces of pink ribbon for the straps, and then to do something that I swear I always refuse to do, but this is an emergency. I just want to finish, okay? I used hot glue to attach the details. Yeah, you heard me right. I am using hot glue. Hey, don't judge me. I will be wearing this cosplay for 10 minutes. I don't really care if it's not perfect, and it actually works, so yeah, why not? With the bra finished, now let's destroy a dress to create another one. Come on, Millie, go for it! Destroy it! Okay, that didn't work, but it's okay, we have a seam ripper. Actually, I surprisingly made this dress quite well considering this was several years ago. But I managed to unattach the skirt part, keeping all the ruffle, and I only had to attach pink bias tape and ribbon to wear it around the bra. This part needs to be loose as the bra is stretchy, but my skirty part is not. I thought this would be the best solution. And don't worry, the other part of the dress is not going to waste. I will be using it to make this other cosplay. We just need a little bit of white fabric, so let's go to my hidden stash. Yeah, I have a lot of white fabric. I have a lot of fabric in general. I simply cut a rectangle of fabric. I gathered the top so it fit my bodice. And I finished the edges. Yeah, I didn't make a very good job with that rectangle because I forgot to cut the other side, but don't worry, I'll fix it before I shoot it. The last dress is this black uniform. I actually love this dress, but I don't think they will let me wear this in a church. And for this look I am going to modify my old Love is War uniform, and I will need to change the zipper and add some red ribbon. The color is also slightly different, so let's chop it in half. I think this triangular shape makes it more accurate to my reference picture, but again, I only have one drawing, so it doesn't really matter. The zipper also needs to be different as mine starts in the middle and I needed to be able to open it completely. Cuffs, let's change them. And now let's go and decorate the dress with our red ribbon. Of course, again I wanted to cut some corners and I am going to be using hemming tape. You simply place your tape on top of the fabric and then you place the ribbon on top of the tape. It is actually a good idea to pin it at first so it doesn't move, but I recommend you to take those off as quickly as possible not to scratch your iron. Using my hot iron to melt the glue in the tape, the ribbon gets permanently attached to the fabric. Any excess glue will get stuck to this piece of cotton I put on top. However, be careful not to melt the glue with your iron or you will really regret it. Ask me how I know it. And with this dress finished, it was time to do a photo shoot.
난 괜찮아 이제 그만 날 피하지 마 그 분명한 말도 안 돼 나를 봐봐 널 위해 많이 고민했어 고른 멜로디 이 노래 듣고 네가 좋아해줬으면 좋겠다 나를 봐봐 I think about you every day 꿈을 꿔봤자 하늘에 소리 질러봐 힘을 내줘 이렇게 힘을 내줘 어디로 갔는지 몰라도 우리 함께 alright 손을 잡아 힘을 내줘 내 곁에서라면 그대 늘 바랬던 It's my life 너와 꿈을 향해 이 노래 부를게
Okay, this was fun, but also a lot of chaos. I couldn't take a lot of footage, and I am not super happy with the photo shoot itself, but hey, the cosplays are done, and I can always take better pictures in the future. If you are a patron, thank you so much for your support and your patience. This project has taken a while. Once I manage to tidy up my chaotic sewing room, I will be back with new cosplays. Until then, I will be seeing you in the next adventure. Bye! Another thing that you may be needing is your cat. They are great for holding your fabric in place, and yeah, as soon as they see fabric around, they will just sit on it, and it's great because it doesn't move. So yeah, very handy to have one around, and they keep you company.